You thought talking more would save the relationship, but every word you spoke just killed her respect for you. There is exactly one psychological shift you must make to reverse this completely, and I will reveal it at the very end of this breakdown. But you have to understand the foundation first. But here is the brutal reality most men refuse to accept. You have been weaponizing your words against your own masculinity. You have been brainwashed into believing that absolute transparency is the bedrock of attraction. You were told to share your feelings, to explain your actions, to write the long paragraph at 3 in the morning to prove how much you care. And what did it get you? It got you dismissed. It got you categorized as harmless, predictable, and weak. And this is exactly where the dynamic flips permanently, because the moment you start treating your attention like cheap currency is the moment she stops valuing it. Let me take you deeper into the psychology of what she actually sees when you over-explain yourself. When you launch into a defensive monologue, you think you are providing clarity. You think you are fixing the problem. But she does not hear your logic. She feels your panic. She senses your desperate need for her to validate your reality. And a man who needs a woman to validate his reality is a man who has no reality of his own. But let us pause, because this is where the trap snaps shut. You see, society tells you that communication is everything. So you communicate, you over-communicate, you decode every minor argument as if it is a mathematical equation that just needs the right formula to be solved. You justify your boundaries instead of just enforcing them. You apologize for taking up space. You negotiate your own self-respect, hoping she will finally grant you the permission to feel like a man. But true masculinity does not ask for permission. It establishes a standard and lets the chips fall where they may. And if you miss this next point, everything else I said is useless. A grounded man knows that his inner equilibrium cannot be tethered to a woman's emotional weather. She is the storm. You are the mountain. A mountain does not explain itself to the hurricane. It does not beg the wind to stop blowing. It just stands there, immovable, deeply rooted in the earth, unaffected by the chaos swirling around it. And here is the secret most guys never figure out. The storm actually wants the mountain to be immovable. She wants to throw her chaos at you and see if you break. Not because she hates you, but because her deepest biological instinct needs to know if you are strong enough to keep her safe. When you panic, when you scramble to explain, when you send a wall of text trying to soothe her anxiety, the mountain crumbles. You fail the test. But look at what happens when you finally stop trying to prove your worth. You choose silence, not the manipulative, punishing silence of a boy throwing a tantrum. The deep, heavy, resonant silence of a man who is completely secure in his own frame. You look at her, you hear her out, and you simply do not react. You let the tension hang in the air. You let the unsaid words echo. And suddenly the entire power dynamic in the room shifts. Because nature abhors a vacuum, and when you stop filling the space with your nervous energy, she is forced to step into that space. Her imagination takes over. She starts wondering. She starts analyzing. She starts chasing your validation instead of you chasing hers. Let me tell you exactly why 99% of guys cannot execute this. They are absolutely terrified of the void. They are terrified of what she might think if they do not immediately control the narrative. They lack the emotional discipline to sit in discomfort. But emotional discipline is the ultimate separator between the performative male and the fully integrated man. The performative male needs applause. He acts tough, he speaks loudly, he tries to logically dominate the argument. He is a chameleon, constantly shifting his colors to ensure he does not lose her approval. The integrated man does not perform. He exists. His silence is a fortress. He knows that he does not owe anyone an audit of his soul. When she pushes, he holds. When she pulls away, he lets her go. Because a man of high value operates from a mindset of absolute abundance. He knows his worth is not up for negotiation. And this brings us to the core of reclaiming your personal power. You have to kill the nice guy inside you who thinks he can negotiate genuine desire through logic. Desire cannot be negotiated. It is triggered. And it is triggered by mystery, by strength, and by a slightly dangerous unpredictability. When you lay all your cards on the table, the game is over. There is nothing left for her to discover. You become a solved puzzle, and solved puzzles are put back in the box and shoved into the closet. You must remain an active challenge. Your silence is the mechanism that keeps the challenge alive. It communicates that your inner world is a premium territory, and access to it must be earned through loyalty, respect, and time. Now, think about the last time you felt disrespected. Your blood boiled, your heart raced, you immediately wanted to set the record straight. You wanted to prove a point, and in doing so, you handed over the remote control to your nervous system. You gave her the power to dictate your emotional state. A grounded man never hands over the remote control. If disrespect occurs, he does not raise his voice. He removes his presence. He withdraws his most valuable asset, which is his attention. Because arguing with disrespect is just another form of validation. It shows that her opinion deeply affects you. But absolute, unbothered silence, that destroys her frame entirely. It is a mirror that forces her to look at her own behavior while you remain untouchable. Let us dive into the concept of purpose, because silence without purpose is completely hollow. If you are sitting on the couch playing video games and giving her the silent treatment, you are not a mountain, you are just a sulking child. The silence of a truly powerful man is a byproduct of his immense focus. His mind is occupied with his mission, his empire, his physical training, his spiritual growth. He does not have the bandwidth to entertain trivial arguments. His silence says, "My life is moving forward with or without you, and I do not have the time to convince you to walk beside me." That level of extreme independence is the most magnetic force on the planet. It pulls women in like gravity. They are intoxicated by a man who is not intoxicated by them. And this is the paradox of attraction. The less you desperately need her, the more she desperately wants you. But you cannot fake this. You cannot just act quiet while internally screaming for her attention. Women have a sixth sense for incongruence. They can feel the difference between a man who is biting his tongue and a man who genuinely does not care to speak. To achieve that genuine state, you must do the brutal internal work of building an identity that you actually respect. You must forge a body you are proud of. You must cultivate a mind that is sharp and a bank account that provides freedom. When you actually have a life that commands respect, silence becomes your default setting. You no longer feel the urge to convince anyone of your value, because the reality of your life speaks volumes. And here is the final realization, the one shift I promised you at the very beginning that changes absolutely everything. You must realize that your attention is the ultimate prize. For your entire life, you have been taught that you are the one who must prove himself. You are the one who must win her over. Flip the script. Your grounded presence, your masculine energy, your unwavering silence is the highest value currency in any dynamic. When you stop giving it away for free, when you force her to qualify for it, you immediately step into your absolute power. She will test you. She will provoke you. But when she hits that wall of unbreakable silence, she will respect you. And where there is profound respect, deep, unshakable attraction inevitably follows. Make the choice right now to stop negotiating your reality. Become the mountain. If you want to continue mastering this dark psychology of male dynamics, do not just consume this, apply it. Subscribe and prepare for what comes next.